Once this video is over, you will know everything about Pandemonium, including what the heck he even is, how unique his movement is, how to safe spot him, how to master his minigame, his complex lore, and what inspired his creation. If you're like me and are absolutely obsessed with how cool this entity is, or if you constantly get minigamed and can't escape, this guide is perfect for you. This is beginner and expert friendly, since we will also go into depth about advanced pressure concepts, which can help you better understand Pandemonium and all angler types. Let's dive right into it. Pandemonium has one of the most interesting designs out of all the entities in the entire game. There's a lot in Pandemonium's document, but here's a summary of the most important parts. Number 1. Pandemonium is described by the document as, and I quote, a mass of living, unidentifiable flesh. Did you ever realize that? Crazy when you think about it. Number 2. He has an indeterminate number of intraoral eyes, which massively enhances eyesight. Number 3. Although Pande was left undisturbed initially upon his early discovery, after the black site expanded, Pande became dangerous. An emergency containment operation involving a trail of bait to lure Pande into a containment chamber was necessary. Don't ask what that bait was. Number 4. Pandemonium's diet ranges all the way from live feed to plastic and gravel and silt, which he digests using unidentified chemical agents secreted within its body. There's more to his diet as mentioned in the document. Number 5. He basically functions as the waste disposal system of the black site. Number 6. Despite being somewhat pacified due to the food it's been provided, it will still assault targets if provided the opportunity, and the only way around it is to find a quote-unquote barrier which obstructs the target, according to the document, which is normally a locker, wall, or something similar. More on that later. Number 7. Escape is futile when spotted. So, we're dealing with the floating mass of flesh with infinite eyes and unbeatable eyesight, which insta-kills us upon contact and bangs against the locker while we're trying to outlast him, and he can literally fly across any obstacle to reach us? Got it. We're not screwed at all, right, guys? Before we get into the specific sections, though, here's generally what to expect during a Pandemonium encounter in-game. The lights will flicker like a normal angler, but instead of the traditional angler attacking sound, it's a completely different audio cue, which the official wiki describes as him loudly groaning, which I find quite funny. And with death mode on, you receive red fog instead of white fog. This is your sign to either hide or prepare to be minigamed, because if he sees you and you hide in a locker, you will be forced to complete a minigame. He can be safe spotted, which is the highly preferable option, as you completely evade the minigame by doing this. During the encounter, you must consider that Pande has the most unique field of view in the game, which basically means the most insane field of view. More on this later as well, but you simply cannot hide at the side of the room anymore as you can for other anglers. If you attempt this and it's Pande coming, you will be spotted. After either completing the minigame or safe spotting, his approaching sound dissipates and the red fog fades with death mode, and if you're in a locker, you're able to leave it freely. This marks the end of the encounter. If you're new to Pandemonium, this probably sounds like a lot, but don't worry, we'll be going into depth about each and every component of Pandemonium in this video. As mentioned before, Pandemonium has the most insane field of view in the game, but what does that actually mean? For me to explain this, we'll have to set the groundwork by discussing some related pressure core concepts first. And to start, we'll be talking about nodes. Did you know that all of the anglers in the game, whether it be the regular angler, Pinky, Frogger, Chainsmoker, and Blitz, are all restricted to a set path in each room? You've probably noticed this yourself. This is the case because each room has nodes placed by the devs, which you can think of as guiding markers of where to go, which the anglers follow while attacking and passing through. They cannot break from this path, so as long as you are nowhere close to this path or are completely hidden as an angler passes, you're good. Although we cannot see these nodes, it's easy to assume where the path actually is because the path of nodes always follows the correct path to progress. For instance, consider this room type right here. Here is the entrance, and here is the door. The node path has to go from here to there, as shown by the arrows. Another thing to consider is raycasting, which in the context of pressure basically means that each angler uses a quote-unquote raycasting hitbox, according to the official wiki, to create its line of sight. This is done in an attempt to detect any unsuspecting players for them to prey on within its hitbox. If those rays touch a player, or if the player is within the raycasting hitbox, the angler attacks, killing you. So there we have it, nodes and raycasting. We now know how this generally works for the anglers, but how does Pandemonium different? Well, first off, Pandemonium does also follow the same path and nodes, but he only does this if you're completely out of sight. If you are spotted, he completely breaks from the note system path, no matter how far away you are or how insurmountable the barriers between you and Pande seem, and he will charge at you. This is already very different from the other anglers, and is enough to make Pande an absolute menace already, but the raycasting is where it gets even worse. Obviously, you want to avoid being spotted so that Pande doesn't charge at you in this way, but this is not easy due to Pandemonium's raycasting system. It's clear that unlike other anglers who use a raycasting hitbox to detect players, Pandemonium's raycast goes throughout the entire room. It is not restricted to a hitbox, which means that if you want any chances at hiding successfully, you must be in a place that is completely hidden from the raycast, or in simpler terms, completely hides you from Pandemonium. We'll discuss this a bit more in a second. This is a lot, and I'm sure you can tell by now why Pandemonium is, by far, one of the biggest enemies in difficult challenges like Lockerless, Door 500 and Endless, and even simply trying to get through Ridge for the first time. But once you get used to him and know how to evade him, he's not quite as bad as he seems. Safespotting. I'm sure you've seen this word everywhere in the Roblox pressure community. You likely have an idea of what safespotting already is, but it may feel overwhelming. With so many rooms, how are you supposed to tell where a safe spot even is, and if it will save you from Pandemonium? Well, what I'll tell you is that although it's good to memorize as many safe spots as you can, and I'll still help you do this, it can sometimes be even more helpful to understand how Pandemonium actually works so that you can figure out safe spots on your own. And to help convey this, let's bring back that raycasting concept from before. We already established that as long as you are out of eyesight of Pandemonium's raycast, which is anywhere his rays do not touch, then you're good. In this image we used before, here are all the safe spots labeled with green dots. By hiding in these places, you are completely hidden from Pande and any angler, and you can clearly see why in the graphic. None of the rays actually touch you if you are in those spots. Now this example is helpful and allows you to understand the rudimentary concept, but obviously you can't see the raycasting as it functions in game, but don't worry, it's still not too difficult to imagine. Think about it, how can you make yourself as hard to spot as possible? Use the room you're in to your advantage. For instance, if there are storage containers and crates, what most players do is crouch and look down, because crouching shrinks your hitbox and looking down lowers your head, making it less likely that you are spotted behind that barrier. And for some that use a locker as a PSS, a Pandemonium safe spot, they stay standing and put their back exactly against the wall, so as to hide themselves completely without entering the locker. And if you're lucky enough, you'll find places which can hide you entirely, vent shafts which force you to crouch and, depending on the location and length of the vent, can take you completely out of the way of an angler's path. Or, even better, offices and side rooms, which can allow guaranteed PSSs as long as you hide properly in a corner. Finding a safe spot is about memorizing, yes, but it's also about assessing your surroundings and using them to your advantage. Certain lockers, stairways, storage containers, walls, vents, rooms, and desks can be used in this manner to avoid Pandemonium entirely. I hope this explanation helps. Obviously though, there are certain instances where you may not have time to assess your surroundings and you need a safe spot now. Memorizing safe spots are better suited for those instances, of course. So to help aid you in that, here's a short montage of successful Pandemonium safe spots that I have used to avoid Pande myself. Take a mental note in these so you can use them in your runs if the opportunity arises. For this first clip, I was playing with my peeps and the light flickered, and the sound cue told us it was Pande. Upon entering this room, we didn't immediately see a PSS, but when I looked and saw this secluded corner, I immediately took the opportunity. Ducking here and crouching was enough to hide me completely from Pandemonium. The others I were playing with also succeeded with hiding completely, but hid closer to the stairs and were fine. This is why I encourage you guys to not only rely on memorization, but also using your surroundings to your advantage. Did you know Sebastian's shop is actually a PSS as well? I sure hope you did. For this second clip, here is an example of my peeps and I using it. You just need to not be visible from the vent opening and be near one of the sides of Sebastian's shop. It's the perfect place to hide from Pande and basically every single entity in the game, as long as you're wary of wall dwellers, don't get low-peed, and aren't playing at 3 AM, of course. For this third one, the lights flickered and I was casually looting while waiting for the angler to come, until I found out it was Pande and saw this PSS. Technically, I don't even need to crouch here since the storage containers are stacked, but I did it as a precaution and waited, and as you can see, it worked flawlessly. For this fourth PSS, we have one of the most shocking PSSs ever, which also will help me prove the raycasting hitbox concept. Notice in this clip how crouching and looking down, in other words, hiding your head in a literal plant pot, is enough to hide you from Pandemonium. You can even see Pande pass by for a split second. This is a perfect example to prove why PSSs work. Pandemonium's raycast attempts to find players specifically by looking for their heads. By hiding in this manner, although you are absolutely visible, since you're literally only hiding your head and the rest of your body is visible, it's more than enough to evade Pandemonium, since Pande's raycast can't find your head. consider that the raycasting hitboxes used by all the anglers would absolutely detect you in this spot, because as mentioned, it's a hitbox. Your body would absolutely be picked up in that hitbox's raycast while using this spot. Hiding your head is not enough. Before we end this section, let's get into some related, very important tips for understanding Pandemonium. There is a guaranteed PSS at the beginning of the ridge that you can wait at until Pande comes. As confirmed by the wiki, Pande will spawn no more than once during the ridge, so if you wait at this PSS until he comes, he will not be a threat afterwards for the entire ridge. Something you should know about Pande. After he spawns, assuming you are completely hidden from him, he will travel all the way from the earliest open door to the furthest unopened door, where he will then deactivate. In this state, he will glide in a random direction and cannot attack or even see players, which is why something like this may happen if you're lucky. It's just a goofy moment and nothing more, but understand why he does this so that you can anticipate it if you're hiding. Here's another tip which is helpful for Pandemonium and all anglers. There is another advanced concept in pressure related to nodes called the node timer spawn, according to the wiki. In other words, the longer you are in a room, the higher the chances of an angler spawning. When you open the door, the chance increases. Conversely, if you don't open another door, this can take a while. Either way, the node timer can be used to your advantage in many ways. For example, if you are doing lockerless and have successfully found a PSS, but you have not gotten an angler or a light flicker in a while, you can actually intentionally wait until the next angler spawns due to the node timer spawn. Although it'll take a while, the next angler will eventually spawn, and since you're already in that PSS, you'll be completely safe. This way, you can evade the next angler in your current PSS without risking the run. Here's a related small tip which is also helpful for both Pande and all anglers. Although opening doors increases the chances of anglers spawning, if the room you just opened is dark, an angler cannot spawn no matter how high the chance is. So if you get a dark room and are worried about light flickering, you can take a deep breath. That's it for this section. I know there are so many safe spots and the possibilities are almost endless, but I hope this has helped you understand the general concept, and I hope you feel more prepared. On to the next section. Safe spotting is great and all, but if you end up becoming an unfortunate soul who has no safe spot when Pande rushes through, I'm sorry, you need to be able to pass this minigame. Trust me, not having a safe spot sucks, but dealing with this minigame is better than the insta-kill after he charges at you from light years away. As mentioned before, once Pandemonium spots you, he will make a beeline for your location. Once he screeches, you are forced to hide in a locker, else you're dead. But if you make it into a non-infested locker in time and he reaches it, the minigame begins. Consider that you should probably hide slightly early so that you don't instantly die if you're close to normal to Pande's path. In the minigame, you're greeted with this screen. Keep the circle in the middle, with a constantly shrieking line in the middle and a white crosshair in the middle as well. The only way to survive this minigame is to do exactly as you're told. Keep your cursor in the middle at all costs. Whenever your cursor is not on the white crosshair, the line decreases, which is basically the player's energy. If that energy goes away completely, Pande forces the locker open and insta-kills you. There's several things you'll notice about this minigame as you see and play it. First off, your cursor never stays still. It is constantly moving, even if only slightly, which I assume is symbolism for the player's fear. The other thing is Pande will periodically slam against the locker, making your cursor fly across the screen. This forces you to react fast, so that your cursor isn't stuck in Narnia by the time the red bar completely shrinks. This may sound like a lot, but there are many things you can consider to make it easier to clear this minigame. The first thing is, if you're playing on PC, you can temporarily shrink the size of your tab, so that way whenever Pandemonium slams against a locker, your cursor doesn't go nearly as far, which allows you to get your cursor back on the crosshair much easier. As for mobile, it's crucial to understand that your cursor will not be in the exact location as your finger due to how the cursor moves and Pande slams against a locker. As long as you understand that and can adapt accordingly, it should be hopefully easy to drag the circle to the middle using one or multiple fingers, whatever's easiest for you. And as for a console, console. Pande's minigame is infamously the hardest on console. Stick drift, multiple joysticks, literally fighting for your life. It's important to note that since Pande's bashes against the locker recover a small amount of your bar, you're not totally screwed, but it still sucks. It's essential to master the precise movement of your joystick and not moving it too fast or too slow, as one mistake can leave you completely cooked, roasted, and seasoned on a silver platter for Pande to enjoy. Don't become Pande's next meal. Look at videos of it beforehand and practice your precise joystick movement so you're prepared. That's basically it for this section though. Pande's minigame is not easy, but I hope hearing about it in this way can help you know what to expect regardless of what platform you play on. Do consider though that no matter how helpful this advice is, you will need to experience it yourself in order to become consistent. Lock in fam, you got this. Before I end this section though, can we just praise the devs for making this so epic though? Pandemonium slams begin the moment the beat drops, and it's so exhilarating. There's nothing in this game more fitting for the title of War, in my opinion. Well, there is one contender. With all that covered, let's get into a fun section, Pandemonium's lore. There's a lot we can get into here. We've already discussed what's located in the document, so let's get some extensions of the information already given. Number 1. As mentioned in the original document, Pandemonium was lured into containment. Part of why this happened is because it is impervious to execution methods. In other words, it can't be killed. What even is this thing? How can flesh be so powerful? Although it has a limit apparently. Number 2. Zeal himself has stated that Pandemonium would likely lose to Sebastian in the event that they fought. Interesting, huh? I would love to see that fight myself. Number 3. The next thing is Pandemonium's form before he sees you. Did you know he actually looks like this before he sees you? His wandering sprite is entirely different, void of any eyes. At least, if they are there, we can't see them. It makes me wonder, if his eyes aren't visible before he sees you, then how does he see you? Are they truly just in there, you just can't see them, they're not glowing? Anyway, I digress. Number 4. Pandemonium and his entire character is actually directly inspired from the game Ultrakill, as many of you likely know. This can be seen in many ways. First, his name, along with the badge awarded for surviving him, War, are direct references to Ultrakill songs. Second, the badge for successfully safe-spotting him, D rank, is a reference as well, since the image of the badge is an illustrated version of Ultrakill's rank screen. Third, Pande actually had 2 document versions. We have this one currently, which you can see on screen, but it had a previous version, which used to read at the very bottom, "The Panopticon must hold," which is a reference to the Flesh Panopticon in Ultrakill boss. There are many more nods to Ultrakill throughout the game, but Pande is one of the most notable examples of this and has the most references to Ultrakill. Number 5. Aside from the Ultrakill references, Pande used to have completely different behavior, and even his name was different. He was actually supposed to be called Rebound during testing. Similar to Frogger's rebounding behavior, Rebound was intended to do the exact same thing, but the main difference being him initiating the locker minigame after the rebounding. Claustrophobia, the locker anxiety mechanic, would have been immediately disabled upon his spotting, and smoke particles would have been emitted from him as he passed. Sounds much different, right? Number 6. The last thing I'd like to mention is that Pandemonium's movement and attacking sounds uses samples from an Iron Lung track, It Wakes, by David Szymanski. As you can see, Pandemonium is a collection of references made into a completely new entity, one that is incredibly cool and poses as my favorite entity in the entire game, and many people in the community agree. We've officially made it to the end of the guide. I've packed this guide with love, effort, and care because I love this game, if you couldn't tell. Its community and everything about it. I've generally put in a lot to make this video unique, entertaining, and helpful, and I hope it shows. Thanks for watching, use these tips to your advantage, and until we meet again, live well and have a great day.